Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever it is for you. For me, it is just past midnight on Wednesday, the 10th of December, which makes this the news and events for Tuesday, December the 9th, day 1385 of Russia's 3-day special military operation. I'm Peter Alexievich, and this is the Live at 5 from Kyiv, coming to you from this major European capital currently under siege. Hey, Nightshade. Hey, Anthony Tommy Tom. Hey, Richard Prexis. Hey, Bjorn. Hey, Akron. Hey, Darlene. How's everybody doing tonight? Thanks, Bjorn. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Morna. Long time no see. Hey, Rui. Long time no see on the subject of old friends dropping by. Hey, Debbie. Hey, Clive Sutton. Hey, Chrissy Locks. Evening, Mike now. Hey, T-Bone. Hey, Maria Holm. Hey, Seawolf. We have lights. The lights just came back on about an hour ago, maybe. So I think we'll be all right through for the live. It will not be another romantic evening. I don't think. Hey, Evil Royal Saxon. Hey, Birdie. Hey, G2. Hey, Chrissy Locks. Hey, Bernard. Hey, Lars. Yes, I'm sorry that I was a little late. Hey, Ted. I'm sorry I was a little late, everyone, but now that I've won this major award, I feel like I can show up whenever I want. What's that, Rui? You can't wait to get my view? My view of what? Yes, it was a peace prize as opposed to the prize that FIFA gave Trump, which was a peas prize. Appease me. I'm just playing with the lights. Yeah, that's what it is. It's all a fraud. Right, Seawolf? Some nights I just turn the lights out for sympathy. That's what it is. You couldn't be more right. Because there's nothing I love more than working in the dark. Hey, Feisty. Hey, Tisno. On what just happening, elections and all? Really, I'm not aware of any significant elections anywhere. I don't know I really don't know what you're talking about. What elections? Hello from the north. What does that mean? The north of where? Are you in Svalbard? Thanks, Designology. Dramatic entrance. Puh. Hey, Leo Ring. Hey, Esquire Eddie. Hey, Little Red. Hey, Super User. Thanks, Leo. I'm glad you found it funny. I'm glad everybody found it funny. I don't think there was anybody who commented that didn't get it. Hi, Jan. The review of election plans in Ukraine, I haven't seen them. I don't know anything about that. It is true, right? I know this much. I can tell you this. Zelensky said elections in Ukraine. Where did he say this? When did he said it today, obviously. I've seen no reporting on this. It's just out. Well, there you go. That is very disturbing to me because look, we know who wants elections inside of Ukraine, because nobody does election interference like the Russians. They want to make sure that they buy their way into the Ukrainian parliament. And that's exactly what they will try to do. And of course, it's under pressure from Trump. Why wouldn't it be? You cannot do elections when lining people up in the street to vote could mean their death. That's not a thing. Because you know goddamn well, if you get a bunch of Ukrainians in one place, the Russians are going to bomb the shit out of it. Ukraine is now a dictatorship. Abdullah, how did you get back in here? I was sure I blocked you the other night. Is this another sock puppet? How many of your sock puppets am I going to have to kick out of here? Ukraine is now a dictatorship. Like you know what a dictatorship is. Anyway, we all know why Ukraine can't have elections. Because you can't put a bunch of Ukrainians in one place without the Russians bombing the shit out of it. That's what they do. Hey, Yasmin, nice to see you. Hey, June. Hey, Erling. Then there's 4 million Ukrainians outside of Ukraine as refugees all across Europe and the world. How do you account for them? Make sure that their vote gets counted. And then what about the other 4 million Ukrainians that are currently being held hostage in the temporarily occupied territories? Because Putin sure as fuck ain't going to let them vote. So then, of course, there's the question of the Ukrainian constitution. So the Ukrainian constitution says you can't host elections during martial law or a time of war. The people in the trenches, honest to God, I really believe this. I'll tell you right now. It's my opinion that the Ukrainian army would organize the elections and every single soldier would get their vote counted. That would not be my concern. Americans vote in times of war. You know, American military vote in times of war. The guys on the front line, I think that they'd get counted. The Ukrainians are pretty well organized. But 4 million people out of the country, 4 million people in the temporarily occupied territories being held hostage, and the threat from the skies from the Russians. I mean, to me, CyberDoc, that's the biggest thing. You cannot trust the Russians for a ceasefire to hold these elections, right? And you can't have Ukrainians lined up on the streets to hold these elections. It seems to me, now, can I ask, does anybody know, because this is the first I'm hearing of it. Yeah, but who's going to pay for that, right? The 300,000 Ukrainians in the Netherlands, sure, they can participate in the elections. How? Do they all go down to the Ukrainian embassy? And if they all have to go to the Ukrainian embassy, who's going to manage a line of 300,000 Ukrainians? Now, let's assume a third of them are children. Let's assume half of them are children. 150,000 Ukrainians have to go to the embassy? Who's going to manage that line? Who's going to pay for the 150,000 paper ballots or the voting machines that have to be set up? How are they going to get them there? It is not that easy. It is not that easy. Oh, thanks, Maddie. Have a good night. Whatever you need to do, dear. So, I would assume, so Seawolf, come back to that question. Give me 1 minute to finish this thought. So I'm assuming that this election plan is one of the 20 points in the European Commission's peace proposal. Is that correct? Or is that not correct? Right, Eastwood. Trump only wants elections in Ukraine because Putin does. Hey, Van. How you doing, pal? Designology is saying yes. Hey, Bobby. Came from Zelensky It's on United 24 Media. Okay, so here's the thing. If it's part of the 20-point plan, we don't have to worry about it because Russia's never going to agree to that plan. There is no peace coming. We are not this close to peace. There is no peace coming. Russia's not going to agree to it. The Ukrainians are not going to agree to what the Russians want. Putin himself just signed a decree to mobilize 100,000 reservists. So Russia is in no way prepared for peace. So I don't know. As soon as we get off this live, I will take a look at what Zelensky is saying, and I'll come back tomorrow and try to address it. Because as of right now, I have no idea even what was said or what it's part of. I just don't know. Thanks, Rui. It's a great question. I wish I had seen it earlier. Zelensky said 60 to 90 days after security assurances are in place. Well, that would make sense. You stop the shooting for 60 to 90 days, then you can have elections. Of course you'll have elections then. I would be surprised if Zelensky even ran. I think he's quite ready to give the job up. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So peace deal, security, then 60 to 90 days. Okay, so Rui, there's no elections coming. It's not a thing. There is the promise of elections once peace is secured. And we've had that all along. Yeah. Okay. He has stated he wants to go when they have peace. Who wouldn't? Look at the poor guy. He could use a break. So, Seawolf asked the question, did Turkey assist the Russians in evacuating from Syria a year ago during the revolution that deposed Assad? And the answer to that question is yes. The Turks, a NATO country, responded to the request from the Russian military during the fall of the Assad regime to assist them in evacuating troops from the quagmire that Syria had become. And Turkey did assist the Russians. They helped to evacuate several hundred. I forget exactly how many. I feel like it was less than 800. I feel like it was less than 800 Russians actually got out through Turkey when Assad fell. But it was a bunch of guys. And the irony of it, of course, is that Turkey is a NATO country. So here, the Russian sphere of influence, now this all happened a year ago, remember, right? This all happened last year. The Russian sphere of influence, we're watching it shrink constantly. We're watching a year ago them lose Syria, and they had to turn to a NATO country to help them get their people out. The irony of that is completely lost on the Russians, who do not have a sense of irony, much like the maggots. Hey, Tycho. So that's an old story that TikTok suggested I republish as at this time last year, or whatever it's called, on this day, a retrospective kind of thing. So that is not new news, Seawolf. That's old news. Hey, I did not thank, and I also did not see him come in. Hey, Lola K. I also did not see him come in, but Derek Sands is the sponsor of tonight's live. So if you see Derek around, please, thank you. Scully, go out and come back in. She can't hear me. She won't know to do that. Okay. So is Turkey helping the Russians get out? They did. They did help them get out last year when this happened. Hey, guard. Now, today we saw, so a couple of things. It occurred to me today that something really profound is happening in terms of Russian disinformation in the world. We have been hearing since the start of this invasion that the cause of the invasion was NATO expansion, and that the war in Ukraine is not really a war in Ukraine, but rather a proxy war that the United States started using Ukraine against Russia. And this is an important lie. Now, to all of us here living in the West with access to information sources, right? With access to information sources here in the West, we know that this is nonsense. We know that this is bullshit. We know that the cause of the war is Russia's imperial aggression. Its ever consuming need to expand and consume others because they have a predatory economy and regime. That's the nature of the beast. Now, this lie, though, that we are fighting the USA, that this is the USA's proxy war using Ukraine. Because why else would we be having such a hard time? Right? This is the lie that the Russians need to tell the Russian people in order for them to understand why it's taking so long. Because we're not just fighting Ukraine. Come on, we all know that Ukraine wouldn't stand a chance against mighty Russia. Russia crushed Ukraine in 1 minute if Russia wanted to. But Russia merciful to our little Russian brothers. This is the bullshit nonsense that the Russian political class feeds to the Ukrainian people, or to the Russian people and the rest of the world every fucking day. And they want the world to believe that it's not Ukraine that's doing all this damage to Russia. Not that it will do any damage, really, no. Russia's stronger than ever. Anybody who thinks Russia is a friend is kidding themselves. So, the Russians have been telling this lie, that this is a proxy war, that it's us against the United States and Europe. The only thing is, they just managed to install a Russian-friendly regime in the United States. That's what Trump is. Let's be clear. Trump, in his national security white paper, just said the words that Europe is a greater threat to the United States than Russia is. Now, that is such nonsense, such a non sequitur, that you have to, how people are still telling themselves that Trump is an American working for Americans is crazy to me. He is so clearly an asset of our enemies and is being exploited by them for the downfall of us all. The downfall of us all. That national security strategy white paper that the Trump administration published on Friday, it says the words that Europe is headed in the wrong direction, a direction of civilizational decline, and that it is our job as the United States to course correct them. It's the big squeeze. The Putin-Trump plan is to sever the transatlantic alliance and then squeeze Europe between North America and Russia. That is the big squeeze. That is the plan. And we see it writ large in this security strategy white paper. Here's the conundrum. Getting Trump elected was Putin's biggest win. For all of the Putin people, for everyone who believes the lie that this war was the result of NATO aggression, that it is a proxy war, and that Ukraine is just a puppet of the United States, the fact that Trump can't get Ukraine to do what he wants exposes all of that as a lie. The inherent internal contradictions of this position are such that any thinking person has to say, wait a minute, I thought you said you were fighting the United States. That Ukraine doesn't matter. They don't even really exist. They're just a puppet of the US. That's your real enemy, right? Well, then why won't Ukraine do what the US is saying? The very fact that Ukraine rejects these policies that are not in its interest, that it acts in its own sovereign interest, exposes the lie that Ukraine is a non-entity, that the US and Russia are in charge. And so I think we're going to see a lot less of the trolls talking about the proxy war. Because as soon as they bring it up, all you have to do is ask them, how come if it's a proxy war, Ukraine won't do what Trump wants? They had a plan and it didn't work, and it's not going to work, Clive. It's not going to work. Hey, Michael Boucher, how you doing, buddy? Long time no see. A lot of old friends popping by tonight. Rui's here. Haven't seen her in a while. Jasmine is here. Haven't seen her in a while. Michael Boucher is here. Haven't seen him in a while. That's probably true, Tycho. I don't know about that. I don't know anything about Epstein's travel to Russia, but that would be very unsurprising. Euro-Chinese trade deals could put Trump in trouble. Dude, everything Trump does is putting America in trouble. I wish to God he'd do something that puts him in trouble. Hey, Chef Deb. Hey, Kennedy. Hey, Reefer Man. Okay, so, look, I'm hearing different things, right? But it's all... I'm hearing that Putin has rejected the latest peace deal. I'm hearing that Zelensky has rejected the latest peace deal. But on both counts, what I'm hearing is it's over the Donbass and having to cede land that the Russians have not conquered. And Putin is screaming, if Ukraine will not withdraw from the Donbass, we will take it by force. Meanwhile, it's been 3 weeks and the Russians can't cross the railroad tracks in Pokrovsk. The BBC was reporting live today from Pokrovsk. They're in the gray zone. So I can assure you that Pokrovsk has not fallen. About half the city, the southern part of the city, south of the railroad tracks, is in Russian hands. The other part of the city is in the gray zone or in the Ukrainian hands. We got video today of Ukrainians clearing buildings in Pokrovsk. We also got video today of Ukrainians surrounding the last handful of Russians who are starving in Kupiansk. So there's now less than 40 Russians, we think, inside of Kupiansk proper. 2 of them were captured today, and I saw some video of their interviews. They are emaciated. They're only resupply for weeks. has been drone drops. So you've got a handful, couple dozen Russians who are isolated, cut off, and starving to death in Kupiansk. Cleaning them out is going to be a great rebuke to Putin's claim that Kupiansk is in Russian hands. It is not. Kurian says any negotiation should be between EU, Ukraine, and Russia. Why the USA? Because we got the juice, baby. Or we used to, before Donald Trump slashed our wrists and drained us dry. Right? It used to be that if the U.S. was on your side, if the U.S. gave you security guarantees, it meant something. But with Trump, I mean, we are in an active coup. Donald Trump is not an American. Donald Trump does not believe in democratic values. Donald Trump is happy to sell everybody out to the highest bidder. It is the worst example of us prioritizing profits over principles in a way that the United States has never done before. And Dino, I hear that there are still some donkeys active in the Russian service, but many of them were eaten last winter. Winter is coming again. It's likely that those that remain will also be eaten. The camel got rescued. The Ukrainians managed to rescue one combat camel. So we'll camel's good. It's not bad if you've never had camel. How far does he get to go before the Americans take control of this coup? That is the question, Kurian. I mean, I'm still reeling. I'm still reeling, as I think any American of conscience is, that Pete Hegseth could have given an illegal order to an admiral of the United States Navy, and that admiral would issue that illegal order, and that all the way down the chain to the gunner, that illegal order would be taken out and United States military assets would be used to murder helpless people floating in the sea against all international law, international agreements, and the Uniform Code of Conduct. I'm still reeling from that we have in our military a chain of command, an unbroken chain of command that would murder civilians illegally. That's a bad, bad situation to be in. So, Indignazioni says, I with U.S. in this state will lead to EU remaining the only entity that can deal. Now, I think we have a Yandex failure here, but let me try to fix it. I think what this person is trying to say is that we need to cut the U.S. out of these negotiations and leave it to Europe. And I don't disagree. The problem is that that's what the Russians want. That's what breaking the transatlantic partnership, dissolving the 80 years of post-World War II prosperity that is generated by the transatlantic partnership is a nightmare before God. It will cost us a fortune. Americans don't appreciate that our biggest trading partner is the EU. The biggest export market for our goods is the EU. They got the money to afford the expensive shit that we make. And that is all at risk right now. I'm still astonished at this $12 billion farm bailout in the U.S. That situation was created by Donald Trump's insanity, by his economic tariff wars with China. And let's not forget that J.D. Vance and friends of Trump's were huge winners in that tariff war. Right? J.D. Vance is an investor in a large company that buys distressed farm properties at pennies on the dollar. And he's been raking it in because Trump created a situation in which he bankrupted American farmers with his insane tax on soybeans. His insane tax on soybeans. And now he's getting credit from the maggots for saving the farmers. It's ridiculous. It did happen in the first administration. I forget. I feel like the bailout that time was $5 billion, but I'm not sure. Acre Trader. That's it, Lola. Thanks. Farmers who hate welfare will gladly take that bailout money. The problem, Mike, is that the main person for enforcing the law in the United States is supposed to be the goddamn president. And the president is a criminal. It's just that simple. Evening, Victoria. Dobro večer. The bailout is $37 an acre. I'm not sure where you're getting that number. Hang on one sec. Oh. It is miserable here. It has been miserable here for 2 months. I swear to God, we haven't seen the sun in about 60 days. It's just been gray and cold and wet. Okay, so now let's be grateful it's this end, Anthony, huh? So now in Ukraine news today, we had something very interesting happen. Oh, buonasera. We had something very interesting happen. Another AN-22 crashed. Hey, Doc. Is Doc here? Hey, Dr. K. How you doing? We had another AN-22 fall out of the sky. And this was Russia's last AN-22. To the best of my knowledge, this was the last working AN-22. Big cargo plane, one of, I believe, the biggest turboprop plane in the world. And yes, this is another one because there was another, there was an AN-2 down in Krasnodar that crashed last year. There was an AN-20 that crashed in Amur province earlier this year. And then there was another AN-22 that crashed earlier this year. So that's 4 of them. No survivors among any of them. Now, the search and rescue team is still out looking for this one. Important to point out, Drain Man, this was not shot down. This appears to be a case of they were just coming from a maintenance run. They should not even have been in service. The AN-22 was officially retired from service for the Russian aerospace forces and army last year. And so it was only pressed into service because they need cargo planes. And so this one got pressed into service, and dawn patrols, I think that's it. Just wear and tear on the airframe. What's important about this is that this is going to be happening to every airplane that the Russians have in service. The Ukrainians have constantly been making longer and longer range strikes into Russia. This has forced the Russians to keep moving their planes back farther and farther away from Ukraine in an effort to try to keep them safe. That means that something like, I think it's almost 700 kilometers round trip to Engels Air Force Base to the front line, from Engels to the front line. A trip like that, that's 700 kilometers round trip, if you have to move those planes out to the Kyiv airfield, suddenly it's 4,000 miles round trip. That's a lot more stress on the airframes. A lot more stress on the airframes. Hey, Jose Hernandez. We also saw overnight last night. Was that last night? Wait, now I have to look. I might have said this yesterday. Hold on. Sorry. I can't recall. I cannot recall. Who am I? Donald Trump at a deposition. I played the fifth. I plead the fifth. Everybody liked my major announcement today. I really enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun to do. Okay, yes. The VNIIR Progress Plant. Way the hell out there, almost in Kazan City, far north east of Moscow. Not yet, I didn't. The VNIIR plant. They make the electronic warfare jamming modules called the Kometa. And these Kometa modules get installed into Iskander missiles and glide bombs. They are used to protect the missiles and the glide bombs from disruption by electronic warfare. So they're a defensive component of an offensive weapon. And they got hit by a couple of drones. Now look, the plant is huge. I looked at the plant on satellite images. It's huge. It just goes on and on and on. It could be 600 acres, almost a square mile. It's big. So look, drones are not going to shut this plant down. They're not going to destroy this plant. But if I am right, that once these negotiations fail, this current round of negotiations, and they will fail, because Putin absolutely does not want peace. There is no appeasing him. The greatest lie that Putin ever got the West to believe was that he could be appeased. He can't be. He cannot be. So when this round of negotiations fails, when Trump fails to extort Ukraine into capitulation, not only does it expose the lie that this is any kind of a proxy war, not only does it demonstrate that the people with all the cards are the Ukrainians, because the Ukrainians are a sovereign nation who don't have to do anything anybody fucking tells them. They can do what's in their best interest. I remember visiting with a drone battalion on the front line last November, right after Trump got elected. And I said to those guys, what are you going to do if Trump cuts off aid to Ukraine, which he has done? I would remind everybody. To a man, The 40 or so members of that battalion that I spoke to said the same thing over and over and over again. If everyone leaves us, we will fight with sticks and stones and bows and arrows. The sovereignty of the Ukrainian people, the will, the self-direction, the desire to live free and to deny any life under the yoke of Russian oppression is a white-hot steel tempered in the fire of this war. Once these negotiations have failed, I think we're going to see the next stage of evolution from the Ukrainian armed forces, and that is the age of the long-range Ukrainian domestically produced missile. Just like right? And how are they going to program those missiles? Where are they going to get the telemetry data to program those missiles? From runs like last night on the VNIIR plant, all the hell the way out there, almost in Kazan. I forget the name of the town. That hit last night. While it may have slowed a production line, it may delay the delivery of critical components for the Iskander missiles and the glide bomb kits, which will give Ukraine a little more breathing space and an opportunity to try to deploy more air defense assets as they arrive from trusted partners in the EU. While it may buy the Ukrainians a little breathing space, what it's really bought them is knowledge. The knowledge of where to hit that plant, how to hit that plant, and with what to hit that plant to destroy that plant. And that day is coming. I am absolutely convinced that that day is coming. Okay. I want to thank Derek Sands, who is the sponsor of tonight's live. I didn't see Derek in here tonight. But thank you, Derek. As always, we appreciate your support. I think, Ted, you're up for tomorrow night. You'll be our sponsor tomorrow night. And Kurian, of course, was last night. I don't have any sponsors for next week. If anybody wants to sponsor a live, PayPal's in the description. For next week or for Christmas. And regardless of the holidays, we'll just follow our normal Monday through Friday schedule. Big thanks to Lars, who has the Discord server, Nightshade, who has the Peter's Peeps group on the Book of Faces, and, of course, to the best moderator team on the Tickety Talk, Maddie, Feisty, Roy, and Travis. Thanks, Kurian. So, I don't even know what day of the week that is right now. I might take Christmas Eve off, but I'll probably do something Christmas Day. I don't know. I might be on Christmas Eve, too. I don't know. We'll see. I could use something else, too. Everybody here knows that we do most of our events over at Gonzo Bar Lukianivska. And unfortunately, that venue is no longer a venue I can use, which is too bad. We had a good run there, a couple years there. So we lost our venue. And unfortunately, next Wednesday, the 17th, we have the English-speaking club Christmas party scheduled. And now we don't have a venue. So I found a room, but it's going to cost me about almost $100 to get in there and get a few snacky snacks and cookie trays and stuff for the night. So I do need a sponsor for that party. One or two sponsors. If you want to sponsor the party, the PayPal is in the description. I'll take as many as two sponsors. It's a pub quiz night, holiday party, Secret Santa thing. and I could use help with that $100 to pay for the party. So I'll take as many as 2 sponsors at 50 a piece, or 1 sponsor at $100. Just note in your PayPal that this is for the Christmas party. And then the video that we create at the Christmas party, that'll go out to you. So I could use some help on the Christmas party. That just happened. I was so disappointed to lose Gonzo Bar, but there's nothing you can do. Either the venue is appropriate for you to be in, or it's not appropriate for you to be in. And Saturday, unfortunately, it became very inappropriate for us to be there. So if anybody can help with that Christmas party relocation fund, that would be a big help to me right now. Okay, so we got about 9 minutes left. Questions, comments, points of observation, or personal need, anything from anybody about anything. Hey, Bip. Victoria, I really thought you were Ukrainian because, I don't know, the way that you respond or comment, it sounds like you're here. So it's probably just the translation from Italian. Simon, it's not going to happen. That's a fantasy world to live in. Simon says, if NATO goes in with troops in war with Russia, should Russia manage to hold on? No. No, Russia wouldn't last 3 days. Yeah, maybe designology. You see some funny things here in terms of transliterations. Yeah, no, NATO will never go in. You know, but Dan, you say that, right? Unless Russia attacked a NATO country, but they keep attacking NATO countries. They keep burning down malls, blowing up trucks, blowing up ammunition depots in Czechia, blowing up railroad tracks in Poland. They keep attacking NATO countries, and NATO does shit. Seagard, it's my opinion that would be a 3-day special military operation. Oh, Michael, that's great to hear. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate that. That somebody is over there watching them, because I get very little traction on YouTube. Peter, do you feel that Ukrainians are losing faith in Zelensky? Here's the thing. There are as many opinions about Volodymyr Zelensky in this country as there are Ukrainians. And everybody is free to express those opinions. That, to me, is the sign of a healthy democracy. I think the latest polls on Zelensky still show he has a favorability rating double that of Donald Trump. I think that the people who have disliked Zelensky and been disillusioned by him from the beginning still are. And I think that the average person still thinks it's best to support the government in a time of war. And that would kind of be the 30,000-foot view on that. But I'm telling you, man, healthy democracy. There is a different opinion about Zelensky for every Ukrainian that there is. And that's a healthy world to live in. Do you see European countries being more aggressive against Russia, and what will it take? I mean, Bip, no, they're not being more aggressive. It just happened again. The Romanians and the Irish both refused to shoot down Russian drones. It's ridiculous. Trump doesn't want any responsibility with Ukraine, but he wants all the credit for fixing it. The NATO giant is still asleep, and it is hobbled by goddamn Donald Trump. Got it, Michael. A military move over the border? Well, what's a military move over the border? I mean, is it these balloons that the Belarusians are sending into Lithuania that has led to a declared state of emergency for the next month for the Lithuanian people? I mean, where is the line? 24 drones coming into your airspace with the poles and railroad tracks blown up? That's not an attack? Yeah, Zelensky's been great for Ukraine. What's the YouTube? If you don't follow me on the tube of views, you can. Please do. I could really use some followers over there. You can find me. Whoops. You can find me there at Peter Alexeyevich. Is it true about the accidentally unaliving of a NATO guy in Ukraine? I don't know anything about that. I don't know what that's about. Now, we did just see in the last week, we saw a U.S. citizen who was a member of the International Legion killed in combat during a rescue attempt of a Ukrainian soldier. And we saw a British national, also in the International Legion, who also made the greatest sacrifice on behalf of his adopted country here. I'm not aware of any other Westerners killed in action or unalived here. Truthful, that's utter nonsense. You can't prove that Russia is doing it. It's utter nonsense. In the case of the railroad attack in Poland, we know the two Ukrainians, right, who work for the FSB. They were identified using artificial intelligence and CCTV, and their path was traced as they escaped to Belarus. We know who's doing it. Those two are known criminals wanted in Ukraine for treason against the Ukrainian government. Known FSB agents. As far as the drones, they were Gaberas. Who makes the Gabera? The Russians. Please. It was a British military killed in an accident today during a weapons test. Okay, thanks, Chrissy Locks. I didn't see that. Oh, David, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Because I said British soldier, but he might have been Irish. I'm sorry to make that mistake. I'm not sure. A lot of guys have gone home in boxes. Chris, that's already happened. Right? Chris is asking, what happens if the U.S. abandons Ukraine and then is just left with Europe and NATO, who have been useless? Europe and NATO have certainly not been useless. Europe has given more to Ukraine than the United States has, right? So let's just stop with that bullshit. Ukraine hasn't gotten shit from the Trump administration since he took office. Not shit. They haven't given them a dime in humanitarian aid or military aid. They'll sell them shit, but they won't give them any help. That is particularly frustrating with me, like with the Patriots. Hey, here's a bunch of Patriot systems you can use. Oh, great. Oh, gosh, they need maintenance. Oh, no problem. That'll be $300 million. Right? It's like a drug addict. Here the needles are free, but you're going to need more drugs in a minute. It's obscene, the transactional nature, the extortive nature of this administration. It is obscene. It's already happened. Trump is actively working on behalf of the Russians to get the Russians what they want. The Trump administration has abandoned Ukraine. The rest of the world is just trying to come to terms with that. They refuse to believe that it's happened. And they keep acting as if there's something they can do to get Trump back on board and be a reasonable person in a democratic world. It's not going to happen. There is nothing reasonable about him. He is a wannabe autocrat. He is a foreign asset who is bound and determined to alienate our allies, destroy our power in the world, crush the transatlantic partnership, and invade Canada and Greenland to boot, to become an imperial power. That is what it wants. And America better wake up and get rid of it fast. Trump actually stole some of the Biden aid. He was not successful at that. In the end, now it still hasn't all been delivered, by the way. So you're not entirely wrong, Feisty. But one of the things that he's been doing, which is against an act of Congress, against the law, is prohibiting the Biden-era aid from getting here. He's been slow walking that aid for 9 months. It's still not all here. Doing everything he can to stop it from arriving. It's outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. Okay, guys. It's a little past 1 a.m. here, so that's it for me. Big thanks to Derek Sands, who is the sponsor of tonight's live. Big thanks to Lars, who has the Discord server, Nightshade, who has the Peter's Peeps group on the Book of Faces, and of course to the best moderator team on the Tickety Talk. Okay. Right, Anthony? It really is that simple. If Trump was on Ukraine's side, this war would be over. And he's not. He's just not. I thought about it a lot. Zelensky said, we may have to choose between our dignity and our greatest ally. I hate to say it. Believe me, it breaks my heart as an American to say this. But your greatest ally wouldn't ask you to betray your dignity. The United States is not your ally. Not this administration. The people of the United States are Ukraine's allies. Every poll shows that. But this administration is in the pocket of our mutual enemies. And they are not going to be there for you. So it is really time to cut Trump out. And benign neglect from Trump and the Trump administration would be better than this active persecution of Ukraine in order to deliver to Russia the results it is unable to get for itself on the battlefield because it is so weak, so incompetent, and so corrupt. No, Feisty, you're absolutely right. And again, pains me to say that. But we have to live in reality. We have to be able to look these hard truths in the eye and claim them. Otherwise, we are going to make decisions the way the Russians and the maggots make decisions, based on lies And that's going to lead you to disaster every time. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Make it a great day and have a pleasant tomorrow. Good night.